Hello community, welcome to A Cupful with myself, Tshegetso Mwebi. Hello beautiful people, thank you so much for joining me in a new week for a new episode of A Cupful. You are officially part of this community and I hope you make yourself at home because you most definitely are. A Cupful's main purpose is to help young people such as you and me navigate the in-betweens of life and take care of our well-being, or as I like to say, tend to our cups and to keep pouring into them in the healthiest ways possible, all the while working on healing, growing, learning, and ultimately thriving. Life is constantly happening in many ways, and if this space can give you even a little bit of affirmation, knowledge, wisdom, the strength to keep going, whatever you need in your current season and that which you can apply in your future seasons, and just ending up with a cup full of peace, happiness, contentment, wisdom, and lots of knowledge, the purpose of this podcast would most definitely be fulfilled. I hope we're all doing well, or at least okay, and that everyone is excited about the fact that it's getting warmer here in South Africa. It is summer, or not summer, it's spring rather, on our side, and that means warmer weather. That means a lot less of wearing layers and layers of clothes. That means that my mood is instantly lifted. I absolutely love spring and summer so much. Those are my seasons for sure, although it is windy. It's very windy right now actually, and I'm recording very close to my bedroom window. So if you hear any kind of clinking and clacking, it's definitely because there is so much wind. Our spring is always very windy, while specifically September is very, very windy. I don't like how dry I get, like my eyes also get really dry and then they get teary. It's just a mission. But I am nonetheless very grateful that it's getting warmer and that I don't have to be wearing layers of clothes and I don't have to have layers of blankets, and I just don't have to constantly be layered. I'm very, very happy. I'm going to be in my element. It's going to be much easier to do things. Yes, the weather does affect my mood or my ability to be productive. Let me say my ability to be productive. It is far easier for me to be very productive on my grind, I want to say. In summer, it's a lot easier for me to be up earlier. For example, that's me being on my grind. I can be up at 6. Also, because of the sun shines directly in my room, I'm really not trying to sleep in when it's spring, summer, especially when it's really, really hot. So yes, I have spent the first couple of minutes of this episode expressing how much I love the fact that it's warmer days and how exciting it is that it is a brand new season overall, and I'm claiming it to be my season, not just my favorite season in terms of weather, but definitely my season to be a lot more relaxed in spirit and mind, to move with a lot more intention, to move with a lot more faith, to move with a lot more belief and, just certainty in myself and certainty in the universe and in God, because I believe in God, and in my ancestors because I believe in my ancestors, to continue protecting me and to continue bringing me closer to the things that are meant for me. So yes, this is also my season, my favorite season, and it's me walking into a very, what I can feel and what I can see to be a very exciting season. So, because we're in the last 4 months of this year, I really wanted to kind of take this episode as an opportunity to speak on the things that I wouldn't have been able to speak on a couple of months ago. This year has been an uphill battle, and I'm not even going to lie about it. I don't want to romanticize it. I don't want to sugarcoat it. It was very, very difficult. I chose this year to step out of my comfort zone. I chose this year to not do things by the book. I chose this year to, for once, just give myself a chance outside of how I've always seen life, how I've always thought my life is meant to work out. And it has been very rewarding in so many ways because, number one, I started this podcast that has been one of the really big rewards, but I found myself constantly dipping not just my toes but my whole feet into things that I would have never dipped my feet into, or I would have never thought of doing, making decisions that are scary, that are daunting. And you know what, I'm still finding my feet, but I am very, very happy to say and very confident to say that I'm glad that I stepped outside of what I always deemed as how things are meant to be. And so what led me to deciding on this specific topic is how much, like I said, I struggled with a lot of things this year. And I feel like it was specifically letting things happen, keeping an open mind, and just imagining my life working out differently to how I had initially planned it. Also focusing on me for real and not minding what everyone else was doing or how far I thought everyone else in their lives were. It was just a lot of things, and I was in a constant state of comparing myself to my age mates, comparing myself to my peers, just being in a mindset of, damn, I'm failing. Damn, my life is falling apart. Damn, am I just dreaming a little too big? Who am I to even think the things I want I can actually have? That I actually deserve them. So if it wasn't imposter syndrome, it was overthinking myself into a state of tears and anxiety. And let me tell you something. I have never cried as much as I cried over the last few months. I have never shed as many tears as I did over the last few months. It was very, very difficult. I was drowning. It was hard. I just started feeling stuck, and I spent so much time comparing myself to everyone else, like I said. And in the process, I also ended up forgetting who I am. I ended up forgetting how hard I can go for myself when I set my mind to a thing, how much of a hard worker I am, how committed I am as a person, like to literally anything I do, how talented, passionate, and capable I am. All of the really cool things I have achieved, I'd completely erased. They became irrelevant. I stopped using them as a form of affirming myself. And I just sort of pretended like none of that existed. But most importantly, I was just so stuck in my head and in the idea of what the world expected me to be and expected me to be doing, that I was forgetting that, number one, I'm a human being who's growing and learning and trying. And so I'm allowed to try different things. I am allowed to learn. I'm allowed to be. Number two, I do not have to have achieved any goals at a specific age. Number three, I am going to get to where I need to be at the right time. Number four, stepping out of my comfort zone is going to move me to the places or environments that I'm meant to be in, career-wise, emotionally, and spiritually. Number five, it isn't a bad life, just a bad season, and that has been one of the biggest lessons for me this year, that I'm not living a bad life. I'm just going through different seasons that require different things of me. Some seasons are going to be a little bit easier to navigate, especially when I have the resources and I use them wisely. Some seasons are going to be challenging, especially if I don't use the resources that I would have been given right at the beginning wisely, and I don't know how to use them sparingly. And some seasons are just going to be plain out difficult because there is just a lot happening that's out of my control, and it's life and it's happening that way, and there are no resources in the world that I can buy or that can be just given to me that would be able to make the situation a lot more controlled. So I've had to really understand that it isn't a bad life, just a very, very tough season. And number 6, even though I have made some bad decisions, this one is something that I resonate with very, very much. That even though I've made some bad decisions, and right now I'm speaking in real time, that are affecting how mobile I am or the freedoms I have, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a forever thing. So without going into too much detail, I made some decisions this year, last year, the year before that have definitely affected my mobility financially, right? And so I'm the one that's responsible for making sure that I get to a place where I am financially mobile, or as financially mobile as I'd like to be, just as much as I'm responsible for being spiritually mobile and for being emotionally mobile. Those are my responsibilities. And so it's my responsibility to take responsibility and then to decide how I'm going to make sure that I am mobile again, quote unquote. It really has been a long year of feeling stuck and not worthy and feeling like I've fallen off and so far away from achieving my goals. But I am happy to say that I'm in a much better place now, and I feel like I can speak on this honestly and remind whoever needs to hear it that your life is really just getting started. It really is. It might not seem like it. It might not look like it. It might not feel like it. But please, especially to the young people, my peers, people that are in their late 20s, people that are in their mid 20s, people that are in their early 20s, and even if you're younger than that and you're listening to this, your life is really just getting started. Our lives don't start at a specific age or a specific achievement, right? It doesn't also stop at a specific age or a specific achievement. Just because of you've turned 30, just because you've turned 28, just because of you have turned I don't know, 22 or 23 and you haven't graduated like all of your other peers, that doesn't mean that your life has come to an end. And like I said, I know that it is a lot harder to see it when you are in a difficult situation, but I just want to say, as a person who has been in different situations that have seemed or been foggy and just looked hopeless, I'm telling you right now that things are just getting started, right? That things, they do come together, they do mend, it does get better. 100%. And within all of that, you also need to know that there will be hiccups and slip-ups and you will feel like giving up. But you shouldn't, because of if you don't fight for what you want to become or for who you want to become and the life you want for yourself, then who exactly is going to do that for you? And you can't hide from the tough seasons. And there is absolutely no way that you can avoid them. But there is a way to get through them. So let's talk about how, from my perspective. Firstly, you have to get into making do with what you have. This is a very, very important point that I want everyone that's listening to take away today from this episode. I want you to get into the habit of making do with what you have. So, for example, you aren't where you want to be yet. It could be financial, right? You might feel like you're in a dead-end job. You might feel like you are in a dead-end degree. You might feel like it's just a dead end financially, that there is so much debt that you have racked up and there is no way out. you don't have access to the resources to make your business or career grow, perhaps they're coming in, but it's really slow. Or you aren't getting the job or the jobs that you are applying for. So all of these things are just not happening. It feels like all the doors are closed. It feels like nothing is coming to fruition. It just feels like all you've been doing is laboring, and all you've been doing is planting seeds and watering them and making sure that they are loved right and that there is enough sun, and that you're just trying. You are working and nothing is happening. So in the nothingness, there is always something happening. That is something very, very important that I'm learning as well, that when it seems like there's nothing happening, right? And I don't know how to say it in a more simpler way, but I hope this is as simple and as understandable as possible. When it feels like nothing is happening, please remember that you have made a lot happen by putting in the work. And so there is going to be an outcome, right? And obviously what we're hoping for is a really, really good outcome. And so we can't just stop. Like, you can't stop. You have to persevere. You can't break. You have to keep going. Especially when you are working and you are trying, and this is not something that is far away and out of reach, like very much out of reach, like on another planet out of reach. It's here on Earth. And because of it's here on Earth, that means you can still get it. So I'm really pushing for knocking on the doors and watering your plants, because things do come to fruition. Sometimes we just really need to give them a chance. This episode actually is saying give things a chance all the time. What are you going to do? Like, apart from, the knocking on the doors, what are you actually practically going to do? So what has really helped me is taking time to look around what I have when I'm still waiting for what I want, right? And how can I maximize that? So obviously, if you've got something like time and you have the internet and a smartphone and a laptop being an added bonus, you have access to the internet. You have access to search engines like Google. You can use that to go into researching grants for your business. Look at investors that you can possibly approach. When it comes to work, keep applying. This one is exhausting. It's very, very, very exhausting. But this is a perfect example of continuing to knock on doors, continuing to persevere, continuing to push and try and fight. It definitely isn't easy, but it's necessary. Like I mentioned just like a couple of minutes ago, if you're not going to fight for yourself, then who else is? And you know what? It's important for me to say that I'm aware that I can speak from a position of privilege. When I speak of the internet, when I speak of a smartphone, when I speak of a laptop, I'm very fortunate to have access to those things. I'm aware that not everybody does, but when you do, it's important to maximize your resources. And I also want to say that I'm aware that it can be very, very difficult to keep pushing when it just feels like life has continuously pushed at you and picked at you and nothing has ever come easy for you. What I'm learning to understand, though, that life is just like that. It is very unfair. It is the way it is. And a big, a very, very, very important thing, a very, very vital thing that you need to do as a human being that lives on this earth is accept. Accepting, it relieves and it removes a lot of the heavy weight that you end up carrying as a person living on earth, right? Because some people, they just have life easier, because some people have certain privileges, because some people have access to certain resources, to all, if not most resources. And then there are people that just don't. They are starting off with the scraps, and they need to find a way to build themselves up, right? And a lot of the times when you're starting off with the scraps, no one is trying to help you. No one is trying to give you resources. No one is trying to hear your knocking. You don't have anything. You don't have anything that you can offer to people in return. And so a big part of lightening the weight in your life as a person who is really trying to grow and work towards becoming the person that they want to become and work towards achieving the things that you want to achieve is removing that heaviness from your shoulders. That number one, there's something wrong with you. That's why you don't have access to resources. It's really not like that. Life is very unfair. Life is difficult. And some people are fortunate that they can have it a lot easier through life. And some people, they've just got to start right at the bottom, and they've got to figure things out. And they have a lot of trauma and a lot of pain to deal with and heal from, which is unfair and very messed up. Completely acknowledge that, but it is also the way it is. So yes, that's something that you need to do as an individual, as a person. You need to make peace with things and then work with what you have. Work with what you have in a way that you can, in a way that will be able to maximize and, help you take things one step further or a step further that will allow you to keep knocking on doors. So yes, I just wanted to say that I'm aware and that everybody should sit down and look at it from that perspective. So if you're listening, give yourself a chance, give what I've said a chance, sit down and really just work on lightening that weight and relieving yourself off of the heaviness that comes with being disadvantaged and not having resources, and then the meanness and the wrath kind of that you're met with. So, as I was saying, just use what you have, maximize it as far as possible. It's very difficult when you have the scraps. I'm aware, I know all too well. But I mean, when you have something like the internet, you can get into upskilling while you wait on your yes, whilst you're applying for jobs. You can work on upskilling if you have time over the weekends or in between shifts or whatever the case may be, or in your spare time, whatever you are able to do a 4-hour course, a 5-hour course. There are plenty of platforms that offer free courses for different career fields. I recently found out about the Forage on TikTok. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. They offer different kinds of courses in different career fields. Some of them are even linked to companies. So when you complete the course and you allow for that company to be informed, you could end up with a recruiter contacting you for an interview or something of the sorts. So please do check that out. I hope that the pronunciation was right, but I will also add a link to the link tree on the A Cupful page on Instagram, so you can click on that Linktree link and it will take you directly to that website. Google Digital Skills is also a good option. I've done the marketing course on there. It's a really, really good one. It's quite long, but it's very, very valuable and it's very insightful. And there are plenty more as well. So Google and see what you can find. If that's the kind of space you are in and you have access to those resources like the internet, a smartphone or a laptop, tablet, just take the time to go onto the internet. YouTube is also such a good place to learn some new skills, so give that a try. don't limit yourself, because there is absolutely no need for that. Try it as much as you can, and just also focus on the things that you are trying to grow in. If you are trying to change career fields, use the internet. If you feel like you are knocking on doors and your resources are quite limited in terms of your network, or the people that you can contact and ask for help, or know people that you can contact and ask for help, just keep going and keep working on using the internet, and don't stop believing that you are capable or worthy of attaining certain things just because of you are not a certain somebody. And so when you do with what you have, the biggest thing you are doing is trying, right? Which is what matters the most. Also, when you're trying, it requires you to focus on you. And when you do that, you're doing a lot of good for yourself. Things stop becoming about what other people want also, and what other people have to say about you. You stop caring about whether you're on time with life, like your age mates are. That on time is in quotation marks. It starts becoming about making improvements and really just trying for your own well-being, for no one else other than you. Things are a process. It's not an overnight thing. Some days are going to be dark as hell. Some days are going to be, you know what, I just never want to get out of this bed ever again. I cannot do it. Some days are going to be difficult, but then when you get to that point as a person where you're like, you know what, I really don't give a damn anymore. It doesn't matter what people say about me, that I'm not where I'm apparently supposed to be. It just becomes easier on you, and you don't worry about those, like it becomes a very mundane thing. It becomes it's just whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. It really stops mattering. The only person who matters is you and your peace and your well-being. And the only person who needs to be mattering and who needs to know your business is you. A really important part of trying is most definitely being patient as well. Another important point that I'm making in this episode, that I want everybody that's listening to take it away with them and keep it very close to their heart, is that the trying cannot be without understanding that you will have to wait for your yes. Wait, keyword wait. You will have to wait for things to come together. You will have to wait in the praying. If you believe in prayer and speaking things into existence, if you believe in manifesting, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait through the working hard. So being patient is very, very important. I want to say it is the jelly to the custard that is doing what you can with what you have. I know how much of a fight it can be when it comes to patience, because some days will feel like things are taking long, extra long, like 15 years long, which will have you feeling overwhelmed. So cry if you need to, take a break, step away for a bit, but give yourself a chance to get back into the groove of things. There is something that's going around on social media right now where people are saying an overnight success takes 10 years. And that is not a lie. Now, it sounds very cliche every time people speak on this. I know that it can sound very cheesy, and you look at a person and you're like, oh my goodness me, but you're so successful and you have reached the pinnacle of greatness, and you're telling me that an overnight success takes 10 years. People have worked, and I like something that Renee and Courtney of the To My Sisters podcast said in one of their recent episodes, and I say recent, maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. They said that or social media rather, and when I was saying I was talking about just like everyone in general on this here earth. Social media has given people the idea that people only go through good things. because of people will also only post the good stuff, right? No one's going to post their lives falling apart or them not achieving a goal or failure. People only ever show us the goodness, right? The glam, the happiness, the achievements, the amazing achievements. But we don't really know what people have gone through to get there. We don't know the sweat, the blood, and the tears. We don't know how long it took also. So social media has made things very weird, and I know that in these times, my generation, we tend to want to take the things we see on social media and internalize them, and it becomes some kind of reality. But at the end of the day, people are only going to show us what they want us to see. So there is a lot of truth in the fact that an overnight success really does take 10 years. It's a lot of hard work. It is a lot of patience. And it is a lot of choosing to want better for yourself. So choosing to work on yourself, choosing to move on from things, choosing to work through things in very, 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 very healthy ways. Waiting requires a lot of discipline. You need to be patient and you cannot cave. And by cave, I mean you cannot let yourself get distracted by things that are not going to be of benefit. Now, this is the other very important thing that I want to say, that waiting can be very difficult and very strenuous, and sometimes when we are waiting and we don't think that things, or we don't see things coming together, we end up with thoughts that things are never going to come together. And so something comes along that you didn't necessarily want, that you didn't want at all, and you grab it because you are under the impression that your breakthrough is not actually going to happen, because apparently breakthroughs don't happen if you've been waiting for a certain period of time, and I don't know according to who. So that's also something else that we need to get out of our heads. That is so false. When it is time for a thing to happen for you, it's time. When it's time for you to reap the fruits of your labor, then it is time for that to happen. And when it is the time, it is the time. But you need to be patient and wait for that time. You cannot move away from the things you want to achieve or the things you are actively working towards because of it is taking too long. And that's another pill, a very big and hard and very difficult pill that I've had to swallow, that I have walked away from what would have probably been a breakthrough or an almost breakthrough and almost reaching the place that I need to. I walked away just before because of it was taking too long, and I was not willing to be patient because, again, it was just taking too long and that was not making me happy. Unfortunately, things are not going to happen on your time as a person. They won't happen the way you want them to on your time, in your desired way. It doesn't work like that. This is the real world. This is real life. Breaking away can be just one small decision from your breakthrough because it felt like your wait was just taking much longer than you had anticipated, is probably one of the hardest things you are going to have to live with, right? It has been in a couple of instances for me where I have had to look on to what was meant for me, like it was coming, it was supposed to happen. It was gone. It's out of my hands now because I just wasn't willing to be patient. Because I felt like I was entitled to that in that very moment. And again, that's not how life works. Things really don't go like that. And if there's anything that this year has taught me, is that wanting things to happen in my time is probably the biggest way to break my own heart and cause myself disappointment. A big part of my growth has included learning to understand that I can't want to control everything, especially the things I quite literally cannot control. The best I can do is keep trying and really be committed to achieving the goals I have set for myself. Seeing things through also and not giving up because it's taking too long for it to come together. I just want to emphasize that it's It really, it's yours, it's your dream, it's your goal, it is your intention, it is your passion, it is your capability, right? Everything, it's all yours. And of course, it's difficult to not be affected by people saying, oh my goodness, so you don't have a car yet, you haven't moved out of home yet. What are you doing with your life? Like, where is your life going? It's very difficult not to internalize that. It's very difficult to not react to that. It's very difficult for that not to affect you. I'm not even going to invalidate that or pretend like that's not a reality. But you are responsible for how you respond to things and how you choose to process them. And of course, the thing is going to be hurtful in the beginning, but when you've reached a point with yourself where you have worked and you are able to say, you know what, let's snap out of this. I'm fine. I know what I'm doing. I know what I want and I know what I'm working towards. So what other people say to me or about me is insignificant. Then you are going to be doing yourself the greatest service, giving yourself the biggest form of comfort. You are going to be your biggest form of comfort. And again, that's the most important thing here. You are the person that is supposed to know what you are trying to do with your life. You are the one that is putting the work in. You are the one that must be intentional about it. So at the end of the day, what everybody else thinks or says or is trying to tell you to do becomes irrelevant. And when you're comfortable enough with yourself and you're comfortable enough with what you want for yourself, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to process things and just be okay with hearing other people say whatever it is they want to say, because people are going to talk. Sometimes all you need to do is hang on to your perseverance. Really, clutch onto it. Please, just like cuddle it. Don't stop being committed to yourself. Please be patient and use what you have with you to the best of your ability. Fight off the distractions or any ideas you might be getting to stop persevering. Anything that tries to tell you that you won't get to the end of the road to receive your flowers, because you will. At this point, it really is inevitable. I'm just saying that's the truth. If we don't give ourselves a chance, if we don't fight for ourselves, then nobody else is going to. As cheesy as it sounds, you are the one that wants this. You know where you're going. It might be difficult now. The road is dark. The resources are minimum to none. But the person that knows where they're going or what they want is you. And also, you know what? If you feel like you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what you want and you're still figuring it out and you're still finding your feet, many people in the world are. I myself am still trying to find my feet in many different areas in my life, which is completely okay. What other people think about me, what other people want to think about me is really not my problem. It's not my business, and I do not have any place making it my business because I really have far too much going on already, and I'm really just trying to focus on continuing to lighten the weight on my shoulders. So just to close it off, life is going to happen, girl. Life is going to happen, okay? You are going to make mistakes. Please don't want to spend every day crucifying yourself. Remember that it's done now. You're going to make plenty of mistakes. That's a normal thing. The best thing you can do is pick up whatever pieces are left and never repeat the same mistake again. Life is going to require you to be patient and to do the best with what you have, even when you don't feel like it and you just don't want to show up, or you just feel like what you have is too little and it's not enough to take you to where you are trying to go. That is not true. Firstly, just be patient and keep doing your bit, and it's going to pay off. Sometimes you won't have the strength. So as I always say, lean on your loved ones, lean into your community, ask for help, let their love carry you. whether it's one person that you're really close to that you trust, whether it is still a process that you're in and you're building your community, whether you have your partner that you can speak to, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your parent or parents, your siblings, an aunt or an uncle. Please lean on somebody. We all need someone. We all need to be affirmed. We all need to be loved. We all need to be taken care of. Every now and again, sometimes you just would like someone to cook for you, or you would like someone to hold your hand. You'd like someone to buy you a cup of coffee or ice cream or tell you how much you mean to them. That is very important. It's all normal. We are human beings and we need that. So please lean on your community, lean on your people. I will never not stop being an advocate for community and for supporting one another and for having people that we can lean on and for being the person that other people can lean on, right? So yes, let their love carry you. Also, be open to building a community, being open to sharing yourself in that way and being part of a community as well. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening. We have reached the end of this week's episode. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate you so much too. Your listens and comments and shares mean so much to me, and they really go the longest way. Please don't forget to share a cupful as far and wide as possible. It is available to be streamed on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. Also, we both know you love it here, so please also give the podcast a 5-star rating. Share your thoughts too. You can most definitely do that on Instagram, via DM, or in the comment section of this week's post. The handle is at @a_cupful. Is there anything you loved about this episode? Anything you want to challenge or thoughts? Are most definitely welcome. Have a good remainder of this week. Work when you need to. Rest when you need to. Take good care of your heart. Ooh, my voice is giving in. And mind. And don't forget to keep doing the things that keep filling your cup.